What the hell?
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 Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Should I Watch? The weekly rundown of what we're watching, which may become what you're watching, coming at you every Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time. And this week, it's a little bit of a free-for-all as we have some off-the-beaten-path films, including a local thriller and the debut of Bradley Whitford's wife as a filmmaker. But let's get started with my favorite segment. This is the mailbag. Alrighty, the mailbag, just a couple ones here, and this one came from our episode a couple weeks ago from Cameo Almathea, which I believe is a Last Unicorn reference. And they said Artemis is based on the book of the same name by Andy Weir. I know it's a book too. I believe he's also writing the screenplay for it this time instead of Drew Goddard doing the adaptation. And the second one is from Stereo Girl. Says, I hope Exit 8 revives my love for indie game horror movies because Mortuary Assistant was abysmal. I have not checked out Mortuary Assistant nor played the video game, but I might look it up so I can form my opinion on that one. All right, now let's move on to what's fresh for your eyeballs. Alrighty, this week I'm kicking off with a film that was actually the mystery movie screening in my neck of the woods instead of the Christophers, which everyone else got, which was the new Steven Soderbergh film with Ian McKellen and Michaela Cole. But instead we got this movie, which kind of caught me off guard. And it's at first it looks like one of those docu-drama series, like a Dateline thing, but then it starts to get a little deeper. This one is Hunting Matthew Nichols. 2 decades after her brother mysteriously disappeared on Vancouver Island, a documentary filmmaker sets out to solve his missing persons case. When a disturbing piece of evidence is revealed, she comes to believe he might still be alive. Starring Markian Tarasiuk and Miranda McDougall, written and directed by Markian Tarasiuk. So I honestly didn't know what I was getting into with this film. As soon as I saw the localness of it, I honestly, I'm going to be honest, because it was billed as a horror one, so I had other things built up in my head of what it could possibly be. So I'm not going to lie, I felt a little let down by the fact it was a local BC film, and that is absolutely on me because this film actually really kicked ass. And it's honestly things that I can't really get in to describe. Maybe I will next week when Chloe's back on the episode. But it is an intriguing dive into just a multifaceted mystery with well-presented evidence. And then it kind of shifts in the third act and decides to put the pedal to the floor and become something as part of Chloe and my favorite genre, which is found footage. It really dives well into that and carves itself out a place in that genre for sure. The ending is seriously really, really satisfying, and I was absolutely floored by it by the end. I think my jaw was kind of on the floor. This was an absolute shock and surprise, 100%. And I believe they're self-distributing it, which is interesting. Let's see. Yeah, the film is being self-distributed across North America, joining Billy Jack and Iron Lung as rare examples of wide self-distributed releases. So yeah, Markian Tarasiak is taking the big route, taking this one out as himself. And I think once people discover it, they'll find a little nugget of gold nestled in there, much like Dream Eater was as well, a film that absolutely astounded me and chilled me to the bone. Really, the last act kind of hammers it home for me, and it's so worth getting to. So I really, really hope people check this one out. Another little tidbit, and I wish Chloe was here for this one, but the same cabin location that's in this film was also used in an episode of Supernatural, which Markian Tarasiak appeared in as an actor. In the episode, he played a werewolf who lived in the house. It was also the same filming location used in the series Yellow Jackets, so you know exactly the cabin I'm talking about when it comes to Yellow Jackets for sure. It's a pretty central location to the first and second season. But horror fans, this is the recommendation for you, because I think it could become a slow bubbling hit in 2026. One where we've also, like the aforementioned Markiplier film Iron Lung, we've already gotten some crazy independent stuff out of nowhere. So I really, really give it to this film an absolute shock and surprise. I really loved it. Alrighty, let's move on to a filmmaker that has made only 2 films prior to this one. The incredible and just skin crawlingly well done thriller Raw, and the absolute batshit, I can't even describe this movie to you in a synopsis, madness that is Titane. Julia Ducournau now returns with something that kind of played to me a bit like an allegory. It is something bold for her. She's definitely trying to say something. This film's called Alpha. Alpha, a troubled 13-year-old, lives with her single mom. Their world collapses the day she returns from school with a tattoo on her arm. Starring Tahir Rahim, Golshifteh Farahani, and Melissa Boros. Written and directed by Julia Ducournau. To follow up Titane has to be a massive amount of pressure, as this is a film that I've seen. I have never seen anything quite like it, especially its subject matter, its main character, essentially, and that third act final scene, the birthing scene. If you've seen Titane, you know what I'm talking about. Just that scene alone, Julia Ducournau has visually unleashed that upon her viewers. And honestly, Alpha feels like the most dramatic side of this filmmaker that we've seen so far. And she feels like she has a lot to say. At the heart of it, I feel like there's a big kind of allegory for the AIDS epidemic and how it swept through and just burned so many lives away. But in this film, she depicts it as a marbleization of the body, to the point where the ones that are afflicted with it cough up marble dust in like the most haunting looking special effect. And through this, I think Ducournau is also still able to horrify in that body horror sense, because there is a scene in this film that I it like gave me like physical like revulsion. Like it was just such a disturbing image to see on the screen. But um other than that, I feel like Alpha has big ideas and something big to say that she never really seems to say in the film, and it gets to a frustrating point that there's big ideas swirling around, but they don't amount to the sum of their parts. Uh, I mean, Goldshift is amazing. And Melissa Boros, I've never seen her before, but she's really solid in this. But this is, without a doubt, Tahar Rahim's film, who is mind-bendingly good as the junkie uncle, who is consistently ODing, but has this sweet love of life at the same time and care for it. It's a weird dichotomy, and he plays it so well in almost a skeletal frame. He is so damn skinny for this movie, disturbingly so as well. And there's also kind of a body horror to that. But as unflinching and unrelenting as Ducournau usually is in all of her films, she does still exhibit that here. But in the face of films like Raw and Titane, this film doesn't add up at all. It is a far fall from Titane, which is my favorite of her work, even though it is so fucking disturbing. But I really like that film. And Alpha felt like it was long, and you're constantly waiting for an answer that's just not coming. A few extra things. Emma Mackey appears in this film, speaking in French as well. So I found that very interesting, because I didn't know that she was also a French actress, but I know now. Let's get some nerdy bits here. The score was done by Jim Williams. He usually works with Julia Ducournau, but also works with the great Ben Wheatley, who has a film coming up soon. Hopefully, I'll be able to see it. But also, Jim Williams did the score for Brendan Cronenberg's Possessor, as well as the film Resurrection, which is a disturbing little film with Rebecca Hall and Tim Roth. Highly recommended, also for an insane third act scene. Just insane stuff. The film was shot by Ruben Impens, who is also somebody who works a lot with Julia Ducournau, but also did the Matthew Schoenaerts film The Mustang, and the Steve Carell and Timothy Chalamet film Beautiful Boy. And just to put a number on that weight loss for Tahar Rahim, he lost 44 pounds to do this role. And then, you're in the Christian Bale conversation. And it makes me wonder, with all the weight gain, weight loss, body changes and everything, does it affect your body and your body's resilience in the end? I always wonder about that. Like, is Christian Bale's rapid stuff he was doing in the 2000s era, will that come back to haunt him? Who knows? Who knows? All right, moving on. This is one that puts a new neurotic voice into the indie comedy drama realm for me. And the man, his name is Matthew Shear. This one's called Fantasy Life.
An actress falls for the anxious law school dropout babysitting her kids in this smart New York set romantic comedy. Starring Amanda Peet, Matthew Shear, Alessandro Nivola, Judd Hirsch, Bob Balaban, Andrea Martin, Zosha Mamet, Jessica Harper, Holland Taylor, and Sheng Wang. Written and directed by Matthew Shear. You win me over with neuroses in a leading character, especially if you're not Woody Allen or written by Woody Allen. But instead, you have Matthew Shear's character, who is in an absolute existential crisis at 30 and looking for some kind of meaning in his existence, and kind of through his psychiatry office finds himself as the babysitter for an actress and her New York family. It's kind of a hilarious folly, as this guy is in no position to look after kids, yet he is put in this position, and it probably is for the better, but through strife and everything. And I will say this about this film is it's well written. The characters feel real, feel like they have texture, and nobody plays a better asshole than Alessandro Nivola. He is one of the best, I think, character actors. One of my favorites. I love it when he shows up in films. And again, Amanda Peet is a total favorite of mine since the mid to late 90s, seeing her and stuff. And I have an aversion for anybody that was part of the main cast of Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, because that is probably one of the biggest ball drops of any network, in my opinion. And they did it so they wouldn't have two shows about sketch comedies while 30 Rock was on. That's the only thing I can equate to it. And I know I'm going off in a total tangent about Studio 60, probably because I don't have a whole hell of a lot to say about Fantasy Life. You're going to watch it, you're not going to watch it. But if you're looking for a good indie comedy drama, I think he's an interesting new voice. I met this Matthew Shear, and I think he could charm a lot of people. And there is a scene with his psychiatrist, played by Judd Hirsch, in this that is so hilariously cringeworthy that it was one of my favorite scenes of the film, for sure. Little tiny bit of nerdy bits on this one. The score for this was done by Christopher Bear, who I've already talked about on the show before when I talked about the Channing Tatum film Roofman, which is a great film still. If you haven't checked it out, it is on Paramount Plus. But also it was shot by Connor Murphy, and I don't know if I brought him up before, but he was the cinematographer that did the Molly Gordon film Oh Hi, with Logan Lerman as well. A film I actually quite enjoyed, and actually picked up on DVD as well, because they didn't press it in a Blu-ray, which is always disappointing. Just utterly disappointing. But Fantasy Life, I scored it pretty well on Letterboxd, and an enjoyable film, I thought. Moving on to another enjoyable film. This one, I feel like leaning a little heavier into the comedy, but this, I think, worked a little bit better for me. This one's called For Worse. A newly divorced sober mom goes to a wedding with a much younger date and behaves like a drunk 25-year-old bridesmaid to try and keep up. Starring Amy Landecker, Nico Hiraga, Missy Pyle, Gabby Hoffman, Kiersey Clemens, Ken Marino, Paul Adelstein, Angelique Cabral, Simon Helberg, and Bradley Whitford. Written and directed by Amy Landecker. There you go. The trifecta of writer, director, and star. Amy Landecker, who is actually married to co-star Bradley Whitford, who also produces this film as well. And I really think that Landecker created this funny, honest film about being older and divorced.
And I feel like that synopsis really doesn't sell this movie really great, because essentially her character is newly divorced. Her husband has a new mate that they've moved on with, and all she has is this new opportunity of a acting class that her best friend, played by Missy Pyle, signed her up for. So she, of course, ends up having fun and dives headlong into this new lifestyle, including a possible romance with a younger dude. And the separation of generations is really funny in this. Like, there's a lot of like honesty to this film that I think really, really works in its favor and makes it an overall likable film. Gabby Hoffman as the teacher of this drama class is hilariously over the top, and I think she's really, really great. Missy Pyle is very funny in this movie too, just a funny lady overall. I adore Bradley Whitford, of course. The comic mastery of Ken Marino can never be undersold. He is really, really great. And I just dug the writing of this film. Again, like Fantasy Life, this is a film that probably won't garner a lot of attention or a lot of commercial or mainstream push, but in an age where we kind of sometimes, due to such sporadic streaming grabs, a film like this might not get seen. So I really recommend For Worse, and gave it a pretty solid review on my Letterboxd. To talk a little extra stuff, there's some cast members that don't appear on that list that I thought was interesting. I was talking about Yellow Jackets earlier. Liv Hewson as part of the drama class in this. Also, Josh Zuckerman, who has appeared in a shitload of stuff. I think he's in the Feast movies as well, or one of them at least, because I don't know, everybody dies in that movie at some point. And Rizwan Manji, a very funny actor that appears in a shitload of comedy work. But the only nerdy bit about this film was that it was scored by Jason Gallagher, who in the TV world, and again, I wish Chloe was here, he did the score for, I think, all of the episodes of Zed Nation, a zombie show that I believe started during and ended during the Walking Dead run. And I wonder what Chloe's opinion is of that. Maybe I'll ask her next week. All right, let's see what you can stream right now. On the streaming pile, and man, I'm really bummed that Chloe is not here for this one, but I'm gonna make her talk about it. I'll shorten my shit next week just so she can talk about it, because this has got sharks in it, so we definitely need her opinion. But as a crazy Finlander that has already made some American films, including a gory action film with Santa. But now he's doing hurricanes and sharks. This one's called Thrash. When a Category 5 hurricane decimates a coastal town, the storm surge brings devastation, chaos, and something far more frightening: hungry sharks. Starring Phoebe Dynevor, Whitney Peak, and Jimon Hansu. Written and directed by Tommy Wirkola. Available on Netflix. Tommy Wirkola. I believe he also did Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters, and Dead Snow and Dead Snow 2 Red versus Dead. This is a crazy filmmaker, a frenetic filmmaker, and to be honest, Thrash might, of the works that I've seen, might be more of that middle to lower ground. It was a Sony film that was originally supposed to come out theatrically until it was sold to Netflix for this release. And I mean, this film's ridiculous. There's so much stuff that is just stupid and convenient and easy. story wise and to trap characters sometimes. And aside from a few gnarly kills, feels just like a little bit underwhelming. And there's just so many goofy things. And obviously, we have a happy ending to this one, but it always makes me laugh that immediately after all of the carnage and things that have gone down, they're smiling and laughing and looking into the sun happily. And it always kind of throws me for a loop. But there are some really cool practical set stuff that happens in this film. And I dig Phoebe Denver. I like seeing I like seeing leading work from her, and especially after Anniversary, I thought she was really solid in that film. And I'm not really a Bridgerton guy as much as I'm trying to get into this show. It just doesn't seem to stick, and I think she's gone after the first season, or I have no idea. Maybe I'm talking out of my ass on that one. I probably am, and people are fans of the show are yelling at me right now. But let's get to some nerdy bits on Thrash. The score for this one, two people did the score. Daniel Futcher, who did everything Bad Guys except for the movies. So they trusted him with everything, but they trusted him with the specials. But also in the animated department and television department. He did the score for My Adventures with Superman, as well as Monsters at Work for Disney Plus. The score was also done by Dominic Lewis, who I've already talked about on the show before, because I talked about him when I was talking about Nobody 2. He did the score for that one, but next he'll be working kind of in the realm of those producers, because he's doing the new David Leitch film, How to Rob a Bank. So probably be an interesting film when it comes out, because I generally like everything that Leitch has put out so far. And I mean, if you haven't watched Bullet Train, watch fucking Bullet Train. That movie's fun. I stand by that. But Thrash, an okay, mindless time that clocks in under an hour and a half. So yeah, it's your time waster sitting right there on Netflix. Also newly streaming on a streaming service that I don't really talk a lot about when it comes to films, just the bigger ones. This one was kind of a surprise and a very different one from the filmmaker. A little flashier, in my opinion. This one's called Outcome. Follows Hollywood star Reef as he's forced to confront his problems and atone for his past after being threatened by a bizarre video footage from his past. Starring Keanu Reeves, Jonah Hill, Matthew Bomer, and Cameron Diaz. Written and directed by Jonah Hill. Available on Apple TV. There we go. Another actor, writer, director appearing this week in a weird week of releases. And this is a weird film. Jonah Hill looks fucking weird in this film. He looks like Joe Pantoliano to me. He looks like he's playing Joe Pantoliano playing another guy to me in this film. It was the first and only thing I could think about him every time I saw him on screen. And this movie is getting bombarded with a lot of hate. I believe it is in the 20s on Rotten Tomatoes. Hugely rotten, but I don't hate this movie. I was honestly entertained by a lot of lines in this movie, the awkwardness that this movie exhibits in places. There's a full scene with Jonah Hill on a toilet that is weird and hilarious at the same time, and it's the oddest thing. Especially, this is the guy that directed mid-90s, which feels like such a grounded film in comparison, in immediate comparison. This film felt like dream ethereal, and I think that's the intention, because there's a couple, there's some times in this film where it switches out of that, but it just feels so Hollywood polished, and I believe that is the intention. But there's also a preachiness to the film that feels almost hypocritical to a certain degree, especially when it comes to the atonement of this character, and the ego and self-centeredness of it. I just wonder, if is this Jonah Hill atoning himself, or what is his intention and hope for this film? What is his personal takeaway from this film? Because it's essentially it's a slightly cynical film about those good guy actors that always seem like the most gracious and incredible human being, being exposed. So it does become like a question of intention when it comes to this film. I honestly think that, but still at the same time, I was entertained by this film and it made me laugh a bunch. So take that as it is. Extra cast members that didn't appear in that cast list there. Ivy Wolk, a very funny actress who recently was just in If I Had Legs, I Would Kick You, as a very pivotal character and a very hilarious performance. Martin Scorsese is in this film as a character that's not Martin Scorsese, so that's kind of odd to see. And Carrie Christopher, who I've only seen in Weapons previously, but he was so fucking incredible in that show. David Spade is in this one, and his girlfriend's Kaya Gerber in What World? I don't know. But they made it for this film. Jonah Hill hooked David Spade up just in stature. Susan Lucci is in this one, plays Keanu Reeves' mom in this. I was completely, I was looking at this actress being like, that's not, and I had to Google it, and holy shit, yeah, that's Susan Lucci. Laverne Cox is in this and very funny, and Roy Wood Jr. From The Daily Show is also in this and gives a very funny performance as well. Appearing as themselves in this, both in interview capacities. Van Jones is in a film towards the beginning of this film, and Drew Barrymore with a performance that definitely made me laugh. There's some really great stuff in her part that I thought was really funny. Let's get nerdy here. The score for this one was done by a fucking legend. And his name is John Bryan, and he was Paul Thomas Anderson's guy before the Johnny Greenwood collaboration started to happen. Like, John Bryan was the man. Just to name a few, he did Synecdoche, New York, Lady Bird, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Again, this is just a few of just a really, really, really great career. And also he worked a bunch of times with the late and very, very great, and sad that he's gone, Mac Miller, an incredible rap artist that we lost to drugs, sadly. The film was shot by Benoit Debie, who usually works with Gaspar Noé. Yeah, he did that fire extinguisher shot in Irreversible. That was him. That was Benoit. But he also, for Harmony Korine, did The Beach Bum. I believe he also did Spring Breakers as well. Did The Sister Brothers for Jacques Audiard, and did Lost River for Ryan Gosling in his one and only feature film that he directed. Music video department worked a lot with Miley Cyrus, and just recently for all of those music videos that they did for Disney Plus. That was all Benoit Debie. And Rihanna, and not just any Rihanna song, Bitch Better Have My Money, did that video. So cool stuff as well. And I know not a very popular one, but I still dig 30 Seconds to Mars. I did their video for Hurricane, which was coincidentally a song that had a remix featuring Kanye West. It is what it is. A little bit of trivia. There is a Tonight Show little kid performance that introduces you to Rafe Hawk in the beginning of the film. And it's not really young Keanu Reeves. It's actually Joey Lawrence from Blossom. Whoa. So yeah, there's your little bit of trivia there. One more, and I'm just going to touch on this quickly because I know Chloe mentioned it last week and she's going to be pissed that she didn't get to talk about it this week. But out now, a brand new season. We're talking Invincible. When 17-year-old Mark Grayson inherits superpowers, he becomes the superhero Invincible, featuring the voices of Stephen Ewan, Sandra Oh, and J.K. Simmons, created by Robert Kirkman. Available on Prime Video. Now, this feels like season 4 feels like we've been building to this reunion. This reunion is coming between Mark and his father. The first season was to blow the rift apart and separate these characters so that they could grow in their own special ways. Mark as feeling the weight of the world, life and death of being a superhero, and Omni-Man kind of learning the errors of his ways, the errors of his people and of his heritage, and how to make those amends. And we're also heading towards a massive battle between the good guys and the Viltrumites, who the remaining Viltrumites. Season 4 has a lot of exploration of how the Viltrumites got to where they are now. Conquest being back, a huge thing. Lee Pace voicing a very, very pivotal character. Battle Beast, Space Racer. There's so much good shit in this season so far. And I will bring this back when we wrap it all up. All right, we're almost ready to get out of here, but I have one reminder. So the internet loves to lie to me and tell me that this film is tearing up the charts on Prime Video, but I've seen the film. I saw it in theaters, and I can't get behind the fact that Mercy is a film that's dazzling anybody. It's got a cool gimmick to it, but it is just hopelessly a dumb film in execution. And there's just something about a serious Chris Pratt that doesn't work. And it's tough. It's tough. There's stuff that it has worked for, but this is not one of them. I gave this one a full workover on the January 30th episode, so you can check that one out there. Alrighty, we're going to get out of here, but what am I going to talk about next week? You know, besides Chloe throwing down and a bunch of stuff that I talked about a little bit this week, I am also finally going to bring my review for Chandler Levack's Mile End Kicks, a film that is definitely very personal and something that I've been excited to share with everybody since it screened at the Vancouver International Film Festival. Also, Lee Cronin's The Mummy, a trailer that my wife had to close her eyes through. Lee Cronin did Evil Dead Rise, and now he thinks he has the audacity to put his name on the title. Maybe it's just to differentiate itself from the other Mummy movies. Bob Odenkirk is doing the action thing, but not in a sequel this time. A brand new story directed by Free Fire's Ben Wheatley. This one is Normal. I'm really, really hoping that I get to see that one. It's Steven Soderbergh's new film with Ian McKellen and Michaela Cole. The Christophers is out. A documentary about a Canadian legend, especially in the sketch comedy world. He has made his whole entire life about as Lorne Michaels documentary called simply Lorne. And on the streamings, Sadie Sandler has a new comedy, also directed by Chandler Levesque. She has two movies coming out on the same day, called Roommates, a comedy with Paul Walter Hauser and Mark Wahlberg, from one of the Farrelly brothers, called Balls Up, as well as my previously promised This Boys Season 5 talk, as well as Mike and Nick and Alice, and Pretty Lethal. Again, like I said, those reviews are in the chamber. It's just stuff that just kind of becomes more important, I guess. But that brings us to a close here. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Blue Sky at the Stevel Dead.
You can find me on Letterboxd at HoneyBunChloe.
You can also find all of the episodes for this show on stevestebbing.ca or go to the YouTube page and please like and subscribe. You can also find us on shiftheads.ca. You can hear me a few different places. First, on After the Credits with Marina, Bill, and Melissa. You can find those episodes at atcpod.ca. You can also hear me on Tremble, the Horror Podcast with Kurt and Taylor. You can find those episodes at 3angrynerds.com. And you can also hear me now on Kelowna's AM 1150 every Friday just after the 8:30 news break. And you can also hear me on Shane Hewitt and the Night Shift, Friday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Toronto's News Talk 1010, found on the iHeartRadio network. You can also get all of those episodes wherever you get your favorite podcast. And that does it for us. We've emptied out our list for this week, so until next week, bye-bye.